will follow him wherever he may go, and near him I always will be.
The April 8, 1966 cover of Time magazine asked the question, is God dead? Now, half a century later, it could read, is privacy dead? In the next few minutes, we will explore that question.
Privacy is defined as being free from observation by other people, or being free from public attention.
Copy of Time magazine. I'll take commentary in the Saturday Review. And, let's see, Newsweek. Let's grab one of these. Take them all.
Down there, down in the corner. Hey, Ralph, how much is a copy of Orgasm?
Just put them in a bag, will you?
What? Orgasm. This man wants to buy a copy. How much is it?
Doing a sociological study on perversion.
A few Kiwanis birthdays to think about. July 27th, 1965. December 7th, 1946. March 14th, 1942. April 17th, 1942. April 14th, 1936. If this is your birthday, you probably know that. And so do we. Although you have the right to remain silent, none of your devices do. Not your telephone, your smartphone, your computer, your smartwatch, your exercise monitor, your digital thermostat, or your car. Long ago, when humans lived in small groups, privacy was impossible. The development of large towns and cities made anonymity possible. Surveillance used to be hard and expensive. Even so, there was a need to avoid spies. The ancient Greek historian Herodotus tells us of secret messages concealed beneath wax on wooden tablets, or as a tattoo on a slave's scalp hidden beneath regrown hair. Julius Caesar used a simple form of encryption, a shift or substitution cipher, to protect his private correspondence. He used a device similar to that pictured here to work his encryption scheme. The modern spy organization can trace its origins back to Queen Elizabeth I. Her long and successful reign proved that a woman could be as effective and as popular a monarch as any king. The Queen had a network of spies that were supervised by Francis Walsingham. The spy network's aim was to safeguard the Queen's life. The spy network unearthed a series of plots to overthrow her and replace her with the Catholic Mary, Queen of Scots. It is a testament to the success of Walsingham's spy network that Elizabeth died peacefully of old age and not at the hands of an assassin. Between Walsingham's time and today, there have been many spy organizations. The intelligence gathered has helped to change public opinion and to win wars. But not everyone agrees with the idea of state-sponsored spying. U.S. Secretary of State Henry Stimson publicly stated in 1929, "Gentlemen do not read each other's mail." Consequently, on the eve of World War II, the U.S. lacked key military intelligence, especially about Japan. In June 1942, the American Office of Strategic Services was formed under the leadership of William J. Wild Bill Donovan. The OSS had 10,000 operatives, including Julia Child. President Truman shut down the OSS on September 20th, 1945. And then, in 1947, Truman established a worldwide intelligence institution for the United States. The National Security Act created the Department of Defense, the National Security Council, and the Central Intelligence Agency, a major intelligence agency without police powers. By April 1950, the CIA's mission expanded to include espionage, psychological warfare, covert operations, and paramilitary activity. The post-war Red Scare caused a major reduction of Americans' rights to privacy. Beginning in 1950, the Wisconsin Republican Senator Joseph McCarthy became a national figure, charging that the U.S. government and the armed forces were shot through with communist agents and spies. Government committees called people to testify, and J. Edgar Hoover had the FBI investigate those suspected of disloyalty. McCarthy's charges got wider and wilder until in 1954 he was censured by the Senate, leading to his downfall. Ironically, there had been extensive Soviet spying, but after World War II, the Soviets had pulled back considerably. McCarthy's allegations damaged many people. One famous Weston resident, Fred Hellerman of the Weavers, still remembers being blacklisted because of the Red Scare smears due to the pamphlet Red Channel. There are two types of surveillance: human intelligence, often called HUMINT, and signals intelligence, called SIGINT. HUMINT has been in use the longest. It can take many forms, such as espionage, friendly diplomats, military personnel, and non-governmental organization staff. It can come from interrogations of prisoners, refugees, traveler debriefings, or by special forces reconnaissance. SIGINT, so named because intelligence is gathered from the interception of signals, is more recent, beginning with the invention of the telegraph in the 1800s. Signals intelligence can also be classified as communications intelligence, or COMINT. A relatively recent and rapidly growing area of surveillance is ELINT, electronic intelligence, information harvested from electronic signals that do not contain speech or text. More and more intelligence is gathered without human involvement. Computers using artificial intelligence algorithms are doing much of the analysis that used to be done by human analysts. The major U.S. SIGINT organization is the National Security Agency, which was established by President Truman in 1952. The president's memo was a classified document. The existence of the NSA was not publicly known at the time, and accordingly it is sometimes referred to as no such agency. Ironically, it is one of the few areas of government that listens to you. The NSA is tasked with global monitoring, collection, and processing of information and data for foreign intelligence and counterintelligence purposes. In a world increasingly online, the NSA's job is growing exponentially. It should be noted that in the United States, military surveillance organizations are more numerous and probably better funded than the civilian ones. The surveillance world has changed a bit since President Truman's day. Technology has made and is making ever more rapid progress. Some things that impact surveillance and our privacy are increasing computational power, decreasing cost of digital storage, the miniaturization of components, changes in interpretations of constitutional rights, along with new federal laws granting massive increases in law enforcement privileges, which have tilted the field against privacy and towards George Orwell's 1984 vision of Big Brother always watching us. Where surveillance used to be hard and expensive, it is now easy and cheap. Our devices report on us, so it is possible to vacuum up and store all the information we generate and analyze it. The NSA recently built a facility in Bluffdale, Utah for this purpose. Some statistics about the facility. Total space between 1 million and 1.5 million square feet. 100,000 square feet just for the data center. Projected cost between $1.5 billion and $2 billion, plus another $2 billion for hardware and software. The facility is expected to require 65 megawatts of electricity, and its estimated storage capacity is between 3 to 12 exabytes. An exabyte is 1 billion gigabytes. Besides the NSA, who collects this personal information? Governments, both U.S. and foreign. In the United States, the federal government collects significant personal information through its many parts. States, counties, and municipalities collect and store this information too. For example, the birth dates I showed at the beginning of the movie came from the Weston town voter registration lists. It didn't show the person's name because I respect their privacy. Our government's not so much. Little of the government data is secure. The next group that tracks us is the companies we do business with, which go further than the various governments, hoovering what is known as metadata, data about data, which includes dates, times, where we go, the route we took, the websites we visit, who we call, who we email, who we text, where we shop, what we buy, our religious and political views, our taste in movies, music, sports. And here is a display of Google's tracking of my location for a recent period. These companies use this information to target advertising and for internal corporate purposes. These companies have familiar names such as Verizon, AT&T, Cablevision, Frontier, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Netflix, Pandora, Spotify, American Express, Visa, MasterCard, Wells Fargo, Citibank, JP Morgan, and many more. The data they collect is often sold to data brokers. These are companies with unfamiliar names like Axiom, Experian, TransUnion, Oracle's DataLogic, and others. None of us have relationships with these companies. We never signed an agreement or contract with them. Most of us know nothing about these companies, yet they know more about you than your family and friends. We also track ourselves. Do you use a Fitbit or another smart exercise device? Possibly not. How about a smartwatch like the Apple Watch, a Pebble, or the Moto 360? Do you have a connected pacemaker or another connected medical device? The number of self-tracking devices is growing exponentially as the Internet of Things takes off. Your brand new car, your digital thermostat, your smart TVs are just the beginning. Cuffless blood pressure monitors, glucose level sensing contact lenses, Notify zipper monitors are here now or coming soon. So what are the technologies that track us? Computer operating systems, web browsers, cell phones, GPS devices, facial recognition, EasyPass, license plate readers, closed-circuit TV cameras are some of the most common. Apple's Siri, Google Now, Microsoft's Cortana, and Amazon's Alexa are AI programs running on our devices which track us as well.
In 1973, Ronald Dwayne Carnes escaped from a North Carolina prison and stayed free for the next 40 years. He was in prison for armed robbery, but he was also unusually good at forging IDs. He collected names from children who had died decades earlier, building a new life for himself as William Henry Cox and Louis Vance. He moved from city to city, Chicago to Georgia to Washington State, before finally settling in Waterloo, Iowa. With no paper trail, police had no way to follow him. 40 years later, something changed. The Iowa Department of Transportation instituted a facial recognition system. Now when the department takes a driver's license photo, it also runs a scan of the subject's facial geometry, measuring the distance between the eyes and the width of the chin. 43 different states run some kind of facial recognition system on driver's license photos, and 7 of those states compare with federal databases to see if any of those photos matches a fugitive. It's a simple process, but it's become an incredibly powerful tool for catching international fugitives. You need the same kind of straight-ahead photo for a passport, and it gets scanned anytime you cross an international border. If you're on the run from the police, chances are they have a mugshot of you, and now they have an easy way to use it. Anytime you cross an international border or submit an ID, that agency will be able to run a scan to see if there are any outstanding warrants for someone with your face. It's made it much harder to drop off the grid, especially as that system has expanded internationally, catching US fugitives as far away as Nepal. For Carnes, that global system wasn't even necessary. His photo raised a flag because he was in the Iowa driver's license system twice. Once as William Henry Cox and once as Louis Vance. And both men were collecting a monthly Social Security check. As soon as that hit came in, police knew they had a case of Social Security fraud. But when they paid him a visit, they realized they had something else too. This was the same man authorities had been trying to track down for decades. Carnes was arrested, and on September 4th, 2014, he was sent back to North Carolina to serve out the remainder of his sentence.
So what can you do to protect your privacy? Not much if you want to be part of the first world. Although the idea of privacy continues to live on in spirit, if privacy is not dead, it is on life support. What does humanity's future of being always connected and always watched look like? And that's hard to predict. Will this lead to greater conformity? Probably. Will this lead to greater self-censorship? Certainly. Will this lead to tyranny? Possibly. Starting today, remember to be extra careful in what you say and do, because you are always in the public's eye now.